So how does the brain do innovation? Like, how does this work, and what does technologies affect, the way that we innovate and are
Okay, let me
creative?
talk a little bit about how the brain adapts to the environment then. And for this, we have to turn to rats and mice, because obviously, if you're looking at how brain cells are working, there's not too many people going to volunteer. So the brain's done.
Right.
Yeah. So what you can do is you can expose a rat or a mouse to something, for example, a so-called enriched environment. Now, enrichment for a rat doesn't mean to say they watch the TV or your TV program. But it means that they're exposed to little ladders and wheels and branches to swing and play and climb from. Yeah. So compared to the average fate of a laboratory rat or mouse, these guys are in nirvana. They're having a lovely time. They're highly interactive, lots of objects to play with. And then if you look at a brain cell from an animal exposed to that enriched environment compared to someone a rat in an ordinary cage, you see something quite interesting. What you see is the brain cells have more branches. Now, let me explain why that's important and interesting. You'll be familiar that when you exercise, your muscles get bigger and stronger. And as happened to my brother when he broke his ankle recently, his calf muscle atrophied and got very weak very quickly. Slimmed down, took a lot of effort to get it back to normal. The brain's the same. You use it or you lose it. So what we know is if you make brain cells work hard, as happened with the rats in the enriched environment, the way they respond, the way they grow, is to grow these branches. Okay. Now, by growing branches, what you're doing is increasing the surface area of the cell. Okay, you've just got more space around. The cell's got more surface to it. That means it's easier for it to make connections with other brain cells because there's more space, obviously. This is not rocket science. This is just very simple. It's just more space. So, to recap, if you make brain cells work hard by an interactive, stimulating environment, they respond by growing branches, and by growing branches, it's easier for them to make more connections with other brain cells. And guess what? You can make more connections. You can join up the dots. So then you can see that the extinction of the candle is the extinction of life. So you understand things. So it's very, that's slightly simplistic, but the way the brain works is constantly to be changing. Every moment you're alive, Jennifer, your brain is updating, upgrading, changing, modifying, shaping according to your interaction with the world. And there's some nice examples of this. There was a very famous one of London taxi drivers who, unlike New York taxi drivers, have to spend 2 years passing something called the knowledge, where they, without looking at a manual, they have to recite the names of all the streets of London, how to go around. They have a huge burden on their working memory. Don't know if you knew this, but the formal cabs in London, they have to pass this 2-year exam, oral exam.
Really?
They do. That's why when I get to other countries and places, there is a slight difference in the cab driver's knowledge. Seems to be. So, anyway, so they've all heard of this, the London cab driver study, because they showed that because they have therefore a huge burden on their working memory, an area of the brain relating to memory. If you scan the brains of London taxi drivers, it was actually bigger than in other people of the same age. And it's not that having...
Wow.
Yeah, and it's an area called the hippocampus. It's not having a big hippocampus makes you a London taxi driver, but the other way around. It's bigger for the longer they've been driving. So if ever you come to London, ask the driver if he knows what the hippocampus is, and he will, I'm sure, because they've all heard of this study.
I'm going to try that next time.
If anyone watching going to London, ask the driver if they know the hippocampus.